And welcome back, everybody, to the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, Ben Newman. Now, guys, we have our second returning guest ever. She just kicked off her senior season at Western Michigan University for gymnastics. Please welcome back my special guest, Ronni Binstock. Ronni, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you doing?
Good. Thank you so much for coming back. Really appreciate it and excited to talk about some more gymnastics.
Yeah, me too. Happy to be here.
So, Ronnie, like we just mentioned, you just kicked off your senior season. How does it feel to be back in gymnastics?
Oh, it feels so amazing. I mean, all of preseason, you're just waiting for that first meet, and it's finally here, and I'm so excited. I mean, all the nerves came back, but it was just so much fun and so much excitement.
For sure. And, you and the team also started off on a high note, not only hosting the first meet of the year, but winning it as well. How did it feel to really begin the season with a win like that?
Yeah, think we've maybe won our first meet every year, and every time it just feels so good. I feel like the couple weeks before the first meet, you kind of don't really know how things are going to go, and to see everything come together and then win, it's just such a good feeling, and it makes us motivated to keep going for the rest of the season and keep getting better and keep getting more wins.
Going off of that as well, the last time you were on here was in August, so just before school started back up, but still very much in the off season. So, how was your off season?
It was definitely hard, and it was just a lot of reflection and reminiscing just because it's my last year, and every time it is really hard, but being able to see the rewards now during meet season is going to be so nice. And we've just been working so hard. And I think our culture this year with the new freshmen, it's just been amazing. And we're all just best friends. So it's just going in the gym every day with your best friends and having a good time while working towards the same goal. And it's just been really good to see everything come together and all that hard work that we did during the preseason pay off now.
Yeah, definitely. And like I definitely want to mention that culture shift in a second, but before I get into that, I remember we talked about this a little bit the last time you're on here, but obviously to be a successful gymnast, your body really has to be at that peak condition, both in and out of season. So, what are some things that you did during the off season to make sure that your body was kept at that condition?
Yeah, I think this year I've been in the athletic training room a lot more, just heating my body before going in. We've been rolling out a bunch just to protect our muscles and stuff. I mean, some stuff is inevitable, but we're just trying to do our best to take care of our bodies and take care of my body. And sometimes that also means modifying assignments in the gym during practice so that I can be okay to compete. So that's kind of where I'm at now, is sometimes I'll have to do less of something in order to be okay for the meet on the weekend. And that's totally fine. And that's just what you have to do to keep going.
We did talk about this the last time you were on as well, but just to reiterate it to the viewers who maybe didn't see the first episode that you were on here, but talk about your background again and kind of how you got started in gymnastics.
Yeah, so I'm the youngest of three, and my parents just always put my siblings in gymnastics at Docksiders Gymnastics in Maryland and in the mommy and me classes. And so, when it was time, they put me in at about 2 years old. And I was kind of the only one that really stuck with it. I always wanted to go back to the gym. I never wanted to be away. And I was just moving up really quickly and doing well. And so then they put me on the team in level 4, and then just progressed until I was eventually at the highest level, which is level 10.
What was it about gymnastics that you just really grew to love and wanted to keep going after those mommy and me classes?
I mean, at first it was probably just fun, but at a certain point that fun, just solely fun, kind of runs out. And I think at a certain point it just became such a big challenge. And also the thing that I could always rely on being there. So I knew that I was going in the gym every day to work towards something. And I think that gave me a lot of sense of purpose. And it just really made me want to keep going and keep doing better and getting over those obstacles. Like, no matter it was surgery or just a challenging event, it was always something to go and challenge myself with, and even distract me from, whatever else was going on in my life. And at one point I was doing diving and gymnastics, and it got to a point where my parents were like, you have to choose. And I chose gymnastics because it was way more of a challenge, and that's why I liked it so much.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, any kind of passion you find, it's tough to get good at it, but when you love it so much, it's not really work to you. It's just more, this is the thing you love. You want to push yourself to get better at it, right?
Yeah, it almost felt like at a certain point I didn't even have a choice. Like I knew even if it was a love-hate relationship that like at the end of the day I loved doing it so much that I was never going to give it up no matter what until I was finished with college. Like it never really seemed like an option for me to just be done or quit before I really finished.
Reading more into this Broncos team and going off of what you talked about earlier about that culture shift, it seems like you guys did really start this season off with a lot of injuries. I mean, Payne Murphy got hurt late last season. You might need to help me with some of these last names, but Danny
Patrusik.
Petrusic, cool. uh, Recently had an illness, and then Josephine Thomas broke her foot recently as well, but she's slowly starting to get back. But the team still won that first meet despite a somewhat depleted roster. So, what can you say about this team's depth this year?
I mean, there's definitely some events that we don't have as much depth at, but no matter what, we're always going to be prepared. If one person goes down, we're going to have a backup plan. Always. That's just how, the sport needs to be, all sports really. So a lot of these lineups, they could be interchangeable if we needed them to be. Like maybe down the line, we're going to need to rest some of our best people on certain events so they can be good throughout the season. And that's going to be okay because we do have people that can go in and get those scores that we need to do well and win. And I think it's all going to work out, and it always does normally.
Yeah, for sure. And, going off of that as well, this seems like a very young team this year. I mean, you are one of four seniors on this 18 woman squad. And so, with the first meet being such a success with the injuries, what can you say about the talent of these underclassmen? How beneficial do you think it is that they're getting reps like this early on in their college career?
Yeah, I think it's really great. So our sophomores this year, they definitely look as though they've had a year under their belt, which is really helpful for all of us and for our team. So not only do they have great energy and are just a lot of fun to be around, they're all so talented, and having that year of experience under their belt is just going to make them even better and be able to be ready and contribute even more. Our freshmen are still working a little bit to get there, but our sophomore and our junior classes are so strong that they're all going to be fine and our team's going to be fine. And it's just really great to see how much everyone younger than me has grown, because I've seen them all come in as a freshman and now they're sophomore juniors, and they all just look really experienced and they look ready and seem ready, and it's really great to see.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, you definitely mentioned the growth that you've been able to see with these underclassmen. But with Peyton and Danny slowly coming back, they did participate in this first meet, but maybe still, just trying to get into the groove of things again. And Josephine is coming back soon. But how successful do you think this team can really be once everybody is fully healthy?
I think we're going to be really successful. I mean, you never know. We can only do as much as we're capable of, and we can never really predict what the other teams are going to do. But after our loss at MAC championships last year, we are so motivated, and we're going to continue to work hard and do what we need to do to, by the end of the season, be where we need to be, and throughout the season be where we need to be. So I mean, we're just going to keep working, and hopefully it's going to pay off, and we're going to see it on the mat how well we have been working all preseason. And I think our motivation and our drive is really going to carry us this year.
Definitely, and I'm glad you mentioned that MAC championship. I mean, going off of that, Payne Murphy's injury did happen in the MAC championship, and she was quoted saying how just overall frustrating the meet was as a whole. And as you guys did finish third in that championship meet, can you talk about this in depth and just kind of describe for us the meet as a whole and what made it so frustrating, do you think?
I mean, that MAC championships is really the one for me that I think we want to win. I mean, regular season, we've won that before and it was great, but seeing every team in the MAC on one day and you get one sole winner, like that feeling of winning that on that day is probably just amazing. And we were there for the first three events, we were winning. All we needed was to go on our last event and just hit everyone in our lineup. And when that didn't happen, it was so devastating and frustrating because we were just so close to being the MAC championships, getting a ring, all of those things, being recognized by our school, and just being so close and not being able to do it. And especially me, because I wasn't competing because I was out with an injury. I just felt so helpless, and it was just a really sad and frustrating day, but ultimately it's going to be what motivates us to do well this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And going off of that motivation as well, your other teammate Sarah Morvansky was also quoted on the MAC championship saying how much did motivate you guys now to win every single meet from here on out, and that it really is your goal. So, how much do you think that this frustrating MAC championship really drives you guys this season?
I think it's our main driving factor. I mean, we always want to win and we always want to do well, but when you feel that type of loss and that frustration of not winning, all you want to do is come back the next year and win. And every year, the MAC has recognized us as not being capable of being champions. Like we're always ranked, lower. This year we're ranked third going into the season. And we just want to prove to everyone that we are capable of being MAC championships, winning MAC championships, and we are capable of being that top team in the MAC. And we just want to show everyone and show ourselves that.
One more quote before we move on. It was from your coach, Coach Penny Jernigan, and she just described this motivation as well that she saw during the off season after this championship, saying that this summer completely on their own, they came to practice, held each other accountable. The coaches could be there for safety reasons, but they can't instruct. They drew up a vision board in July, and I left it up because it was so remarkable that they were that focused in the summer. Were you one of these athletes who stayed over here during the summer, and just kind of talk about this moment over the summer? Why do you think it was so important, and what that vision board said?
Yeah, I actually left to go to Austin, Texas over the summer, but I ended up coming back early because I wanted to get back in the gym and be with everyone. So I was there for about a month before, or like half a month before everyone else came back. And I saw, all the hard work that they'd been doing. And then I was able to come in and do it with them. And I was actually the one who started the vision board just because, again, like I wasn't able to compete last year. And it's just, and being a senior, you want to have the most amazing senior year, and not only for myself, but obviously for my team. And so getting those few girls together that were there and just saying, what do we want everyone when everyone else gets back? What do we want them to see? What do we want them to see where we're at and what our goals and motivations are? And hopefully they're going to be on the same page. And so it was really exciting coming back a bit early for me to see what they had done already and how motivated they already were. I mean, those girls over the summer were in the gym like every single day, going to lift every single day, just working their butts off to get ready for preseason. And then coming into that was just really great for me. And it made me really motivated to get back because I wasn't quite yet back from my injury. So I got in the gym and I was just like off and ready to go. And they definitely helped with that.
What were some things on that vision board?
We had regionals day 2 because we've never done that. So we've always gone into the play-in round and then lost. So we never made it to day 2. So we're either hoping to win the play-in round or just go straight to the day 2. MAC championships, obviously. We also had other things that were like kind of on the side, just like getting strong, keeping our minds and bodies okay and well, having good team harmony. So other things like that. But I think the two biggest ones that are like physical, tangible were the regionals day 2 and MAC championships.
For sure. I mean, it's always good to kind of just write down goals as a team and just kind of, as a team agree that, this is what we want to focus on and this is how we can get to that goal. So I think that's
Right.
great that you guys were able to do that.
Yeah, and even every day we sit down before practice and we each say a goal that we want to do for the day, and then we at the end of that we do a team goal. So it's not only a big goal overall, but we also have daily goals to help us achieve those bigger goals, which is great.
Now, since the season did just start, which events as a team do you think that you guys excel at, and what are some that you think could be improved on as the season goes on?
I think normally our best event is floor, but I think at this meet that wasn't necessarily the case, or maybe the scores were higher, but I know that we can do so much better on floor. So I'm really excited to see that come together and progress as the season goes. Same with vault. We have a really great vault lineup. And I don't think the scores really reflected that this meet. So I think that's just going to continue to get better and better. I'm really proud of our beam and our bars from this meet. I'm hoping it's going to improve, but if that's how we do throughout the season, then I'm totally happy with that. I think everyone did their job and we had each other's backs if someone made a mistake. And overall, I think it was really great. So really excited to see floor and vault progress. And hopefully we can just keep bars and beam good and even progress.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I was looking at the scores from the first meet, and they were all really solid. I can't remember any of the numbers off the top of my head, but for it being the first meet, I thought those were pretty solid numbers, and hopefully you guys can just keep going up from there.
Yeah, exactly. I think we're happy with it, but we're definitely ready to progress and we're already back in the gym working on things to get better for the next meet.
Now, moving on from that, gymnastics as a sport, it's not like a baseball or a basketball where you can play almost every day. I'd say it's more compared to something like football where you only have one meet a week. Well, why is this? And can you kind of talk about the toll that meets maybe have on your body, and to where you can only have one meet a week?
Yeah, for sure. It was funny because obviously I haven't competed in a while. And right when the meet ended, literally felt like I got hit by a bus. Like my whole body was just drained. It's hard to eat because we get there at like 9:45 and then we're there till like 3. So warm-ups is 2 hours, the competition is 2 hours, and just all the time in between. So you're only like snacking for the day. You just don't feel like you have a lot of fuel in your body. I had a headache at the end of the day. Like it was just crazy. I mean, during you just have so much adrenaline that after it kind of feels like you're crashing and you actually begin to feel all your aches and your pains. And so a day off the next day is 100% necessary and also throughout the week, just to give our bodies some rest. I mean, the adrenaline is just insane. You don't feel anything. You could have a broken foot and you just don't feel it until the end because your adrenaline is just carrying you through. So I think that's definitely why we need some days off just to heal our bodies and our minds to get back ready for the rest of the week.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, what are some things that maybe you just even do, in between events and during the meets that you do just to, keep that energy up and not feel fatigued while you're in it?
I think just the excitement of everyone in the crowd and all that, it does help a lot carrying through. But other than that, everything does move pretty quickly. And if we do have some downtime, we kind of just try to jump around, talk to each other, make jokes, do little dances, anything really to keep us moving because we don't want to sit and we don't especially want to sit and watch the other team. That's like one of our big things is to stay in our Bronco bubble. And so if we have some downtime and another event is still going, we're making sure that we're focusing just on ourselves and on our teammates and trying to keep each other warm and loose and ready to cheer. Also cheering like if I'm not on bars, so just cheering really loud on bars and kind of moving helps me to stay good for the next event.
The last time you were on as well, we did mention the Olympics a little bit, and Suni Lee has become kind of this new star for Olympic gymnastics, and she did announce that her sophomore season at Auburn this year would be her last collegiate season, so that she could begin training for the 2024 Olympics. What can you say about Suni Lee overall as a gymnast?
I mean, I think it's really amazing. I mean, me personally, once I got to college and won the Olympics, I think that would be enough for me. But the fact that she wants to go back, it just, reinforces that love that she has for the sport and that she's willing to go back and work for the Olympics because that is not easy and it's definitely not easier than college. So I think it's really admirable that she's going to go back and try again for the Olympics, and I hope she does well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, and we see it really often with these Olympic athletes, but she's so young, only 19 years old, to be that talented and be at that high level at such a young age is just amazing to see.
I mean, definitely with gymnastics, the younger, the better almost. I think I had my peak my senior year of high school. So I think it definitely works in our favor to be younger. And that's why I don't really see very many older gymnasts. But yeah, I mean, there's some amazing gymnasts in college right now that were in the elite program for a while trying to go to the Olympics, and being on the same, competition floor with them now is just like it's crazy and it's awesome. And they're all just you can't help but like look to them and see what they're doing and want to do the same.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, who is that? Who's the gymnast in the Olympics this year that was like 40 years old or something close to that?
Oh, I think it might have been Oksana Chusvitna, I think her
Okay,
name is. Maybe.
maybe.
Yeah.
Either way, whoever it was, I thought that was incredible to see. Just
Yeah.
at an older age, being able to still compete in the Olympics like that.
Yeah, after kids too. I mean,
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine.
Now, with athletes as popular as Suni, people often forget that, athletes are real human beings and do put their bodies on the line every single day for our entertainment. And, during the 2021 Summer Olympics in Tokyo, Simone Biles did pull out due to mental health, and she got a lot of flack for this. But in your opinion, as an athlete in the same sport, can you just talk about or even relate to just kind of the pressure that these athletes get?
Yeah, I think that was a turning point, for a lot of gymnasts and, my teammates and I talked about it. And we just thought it was very admirable because, especially growing up as a gymnast, and I mean, you've seen some of the horror stories about these older coaches. I think a lot of the times we felt like we didn't have a say. And no matter what you were feeling, you just had to go in the gym and, do your work and not complain. And even I, at the beginning of last season, I was really going through some stuff personally. And to have my coaches be understanding and say, you know what, if you need to sit out this meet while you're still getting your bearings, then you can do that. And it just is so like very reassuring to know that they are seeing us as people first, because you get so lost in your sport sometimes as an athlete, and especially here at college it's just feels like a bubble. You're only friends with athletes for the most part. You're in the same facilities with all these athletes and all these coaches all day. You can definitely get lost in your sport, and I think it's really amazing that Simone set the standard. Like, it's okay to be a person first, and it's okay to have emotions and feelings that may prevent you from doing your sport. It just, most of the time, it doesn't feel okay, and to know that it is okay, it just is very reassuring, and it makes you feel like, okay, I can do this, as long as people are looking at me and knowing that I'm a human being, I have feelings, and sometimes I can't push those aside to do my work in the sport. Then it feels like you can. It feels easier to tackle all these problems when there are people that are supporting you and knowing that you're allowed to have these emotions.
Yeah, absolutely. And no, it's amazing to see that Simone was able to do this. I mean, I feel like more and more professional athletes are starting to really talk about mental health and being okay with not being okay. I mean, I don't know if you watch any basketball, but Cavaliers forward Kevin Love talked about his anxiety and depression a few years back, and that was kind of one of the first times we've really seen that happen in an athlete. And it's really great, and I'm happy that Simone Biles did this because what has been happening to gymnasts across the country these last couple decades is horrendous, disgusting, and should never have happened in the first place.
Yeah, it's I think the more people that speak out about it, the easier it feels for the rest of us who aren't speaking about it and who don't have those platforms. I mean, when we're at smaller schools, there's not much we can do to I would love to get the message out, but I don't have, that following, that platform. So to see people that do speak out about it is just really great as a fellow athlete.
Yeah, definitely. And going off of that too, you did just mention how supportive your coach has been. I want to talk about your coach, Penny Jernigan. It's her, I believe, seventh season as the head coach at Western. Just talk about her as a coach and just kind of how she is as a coach and as a mentor and all things like that.
Yeah, I honestly think the biggest thing that I liked about Penny from the beginning was that she was putting us first as people, and then the sport came second. And while she wants us to do well, we're always people first. And I can go talk to her if I'm having a bad day, and she's gonna sit there and listen and be understanding and say, whatever you need to do it. You come first. And that was the best thing for me coming in from, growing up and not really having much of a say in my own gymnastics, to hear her say those things and know that it was okay that I had a say. That was really great. And yeah, I think that's really the biggest thing in the way that she, brings us together. And she gives us quotes every day that we can, work towards. And yeah, I think she's really great. And I'm so thankful to her for all the opportunities that she's given me.
Yeah, absolutely. And just reading about just kind of like the preview of your guys' season and just what she says about the team and the work that you guys put in. I think she seems like a very great coach. Now, Ronnie, your last collegiate season is here. What are some individual goals that you may have for this last season?
I would like to set some more career highs. I think I have the potential to on beam and floor specifically. I don't think they're there yet, but I definitely think, with some more confidence under my belt, I can get there. But I mean, my biggest goals are really with the team to win MAC championships and to make it to regionals day two. Yeah, I think my personal goals are kind of more on the side thing. I hope they happen, but I think for the team, I really, really, really want them to happen. And then other than that, just have fun and enjoy it and not put too much pressure on myself.
Yeah, definitely. And going off of that, we did talk a lot about the motivation of this Broncos squad, and I have a pretty good idea what the answer is, but just dive a little bit deeper into those team goals and what you want to accomplish and how you think you guys can do it.
I mean, it's how we can do it, or it's just going to take a lot of hard work in the gym and just staying strong. I mean, we have all these aches and pains and stuff, but we just need to stay focused on, the end goal of we need to be consistent throughout the season with our team scores in order to qualify for regionals. So I think that's one thing that we're going to be really conscious of and really working towards is in practice, just seeing how we can get the most points out of each event, each routine. And then, yeah, I think MAC championships is just the biggest goal.
Now, finally, Ronnie, with this being your last season and you will be graduating this spring, what does the future hold for Ronnie Binstock?
The future, I've been talking about it a lot with my parents, and they just say, you have had your life planned out for you up until this point. I was always going to go to college and do gymnastics. So I think I'm just going to go figure it out and not, put any pressure on myself to get a job or go back to school. I'm leaving for Europe the day after graduation. So that's really on my mind right now. And I'm hoping that that'll, give me some clarity into, what the rest of the future holds. So just going to take time and see what happens really.
Where are you going in Europe?
Going to Paris, Nice, Barcelona, Madrid, Lisbon, Porto, Brussels, Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Copenhagen, Stockholm, Prague, Vienna, Budapest, Berlin, everywhere.
Wow.
Everywhere I can go in 2.5 months.
Well, you know what? That's a great way to celebrate graduating, and
Yeah,
yeah, you deserve it. That's gonna be great.
thanks.
Of course. Well, Ronnie, thank you so much for coming back on. Really appreciate it, and I will definitely be rooting for this Western Michigan team. And see you guys in the MAC championship.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me back too.
Yeah, of course. And that's going to wrap things up for us today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. Thank you so much to Ronni Binstock for coming back on, talking about gymnastics with me. I am so looking forward to seeing what this Western Michigan team can do and hopefully see them in the MAC championship. If you guys enjoyed this episode, like, subscribe, share with a friend. And is this your first time watching the BaseLINE podcast? Well, check out my other videos as well, as I spend a lot of time and effort into these videos. As well as that, if you enjoyed the music, as always, go check out Hidden Harmony. Link for them will be in the description below. And with all that being said, guys, thank you again so much for tuning into this episode of the BaseLINE podcast. I'm your host, Ben Newman, and we'll catch you guys next time.